Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tony Hollis Live Talk Show Testify. Um, Again, we have guests today, Mrs. Sheila Rump, who's running for school board, Blytheville, Arkansas, and I have Mr. Rodney Govin. He's running for the United States Congress. And so we're going to bring those two on, as I indicated. Um, this is crunch time for everyone who's running for office. If you have had an opportunity to get your message out, then fine. If not, you don't have much time. And so I'm giving those candidates the remainder of this week. If you have anything that you need to get out to the public in terms of voters, um, you need to give me a call. Okay. Again, I do have a guest that's coming on today. Mrs. Sheila Rump was going to be my first guest, uh, and we're going to allow her to come on and speak to you all as to why she believes that she should be your next school board rep for Zone 1. So, without any further ado, let me just go ahead and bring on my guest, Mrs. Sheila Rump. How you doing, Mrs. Rump?
Fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. We tried to perfect your audio a little bit. We do get a little hesitation, in terms of the delay, but uh, I think we can get through it. Okay, and so I'm going to allow you to go ahead and speak to the audience in regards to why you believe that you should be the next school board rep for Zone 1. So, again, start out by giving us a little introduction of yourself, and just shortly just let us try to understand as to why uh, you believe that you should serve as the next school board rep for Zone 1, Blytheville, Arkansas.
Okay, as you stated, my name is Sheila Rump, and yes, I am running for the Blotter School Board Zone 1 position.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know and are aware of, that the school has had a lot of issues, not only the school, but the board also.
Uh-huh.
So, one of the things that you might ask yourself, you're tired of hearing about how we was a grade F, what all going into fighting going on and all in the schools, the
Mm-hmm.
issues that we having in the school. So I know the constituents are tired, are very tired of hearing about all the negative things. What they want someone to bring to the table is what you gonna do about some of these things to help turn things around. And one of
Okay,
the
and
I
go
want to
ahead.
bring to the table is being a very, very, very attentive listener. I want to know what my constituents want to see changed.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what they feel about the problems that we have. And not only that, I want to know about some of the solutions that they might want to bring to the table to see what happened to help make these changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just listen for the first 3 months to what they want. I want to know what they want, what they feel as though we need to do to make it better. But not only my zone, but for all zones, all children and staff.
So, if I understand you correctly, um, shall you be elected, the
Yes,
thing that you want to be able to hold monthly meetings for the first 3 months to where you can just sit and listen to your constituents.
that's correct.
Okay, that sounds good. We uh, presently, as I've been going through all the, to the school board meetings, I've never had a school board member uh, who want to hold meetings to sit and listen to their constituents to how she or he believe that they can, you know, effectively do their job in terms of representing parents and taxpayers or what have you for the benefit of our students. Okay, and so there's been a lot of talk about the Learns Act, and so just share with us exactly what is it that is good, and what is it that is bad about the Learns Acts in terms of the pros and cons? Could you please share a little bit of that?
The Learns Act, as you said, there are some pros and there are some cons to it. One of the things was the teachers' raises. It
Mm-hmm.
went from 36,000 to 50,000, which I think is a pro because I feel as though if you pay me for what I'm worth, I'm bound to do the job that I supposed that assigned to do. The learners asked one of the things was they the per students, you know, you get so much per student, but then it turned around to school choice, which I'm not gonna get off into that. The next thing in the Learners Act was the graduation requirement. Now they have to do 75 hours of community service, to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
You have some things in there where it exempts some, but they need to know and they need to start talking again. Communication,
Uh-huh.
transparency. They need to start talking now, not only to the student but to the parents also, so to make sure the child have been prepared to do these 75 hours. It just won't spring on them, be sprung up on them when
Mm-hmm.
graduation time was. You didn't do your community hours.
Uh-huh.
They need to be preparing them now. Another thing is the annual student testing. Yes, the student need to have testing.
Okay, look like you went out on us, Mrs. Rump. Okay, you back now.
Yeah, students, need to have testing. One thing I like is about the early childhood of the Learners Act. The pre-K they came up with,
Mm-hmm.
because the earlier we catch the students or the child, I'm gonna say earlier we catch the child and see do they rather have a learning disability or do they need extra help before they enter into kindergarten, the better we can prepare them to achieve the things that they need to learn so they can accomplish their education. Those are my things that I'm concerned about in the Learners Act, as well as the safety, school safety.
Okay, let me ask you this here. I know one of the things that uh, I didn't read in full detail in regards to the Learns Act itself, but what I did read uh, was something to the effect to where uh, they wanted to take away. I think they did something to the uh, teacher, the Fair Teacher Dismissal Act. Have you did any? Excuse me. Have you did any reading on that?
No, only thing I read upon a little bit of that was about the certified and non-certified teachers.
Mm-hmm.
But it we kind of dropped the ball when it comes to non-certified,
Mm-hmm.
which we should have
Well,
had what you call um, some kind of way we had someone there to help the non-certified to help teach and make up the curriculum that you may have for lesson plan, for example, to help that non-certified teacher. So it should have been someone there all along to help and monitor that non-certified teacher while she was trying to teach when during the time that we was in. Well, we still in a shortage. Shortage.
well, as I understand, in terms of the, the waivers, that we had quite a few teachers who was on the um, that waiver or what have you. We had quite a few teachers that was on that. Uh, but as of I say the last month or two, we've been had quite a few teachers who have, passed
And
their, what do you call those tests, praxi
practice, yes.
exam. I have read as many as maybe three or four teachers who was on waivers to finally pass those tests. So,
Yeah.
and speaking on that, I mean, what happened? I mean, did the teachers that just buckle down, or did they actually uh, work from the playbook, if I can use that word, of Superintendent Perkins? I think she had something in place where she was trying to help the teachers, pass their exams. I mean, was this, to your knowledge, do you think that this was something that was a hangover from Superintendent Perkins, who, she was actually, her contract was terminated, as you know. Uh, but before she left, she was doing some things, putting some things in place. That is, trying to help our teachers, pass their exams. Have you heard anything about that? I mean, was this something new that the administration was in process now, or was this something that was taken from Superintendent Perkins in terms of helping our teachers become certified?
When I listen to one of her speeches, and I hear her a lot, because a lot of different things out from the school engagements that a student might invite her to their church or do a speech or what have you. She made herself available for that student to be there in that service.
Hmm.
But I remember one of her speeches, I heard her say that some of the things that she had put in place. Um, she did say that, about the certified and non-certified teachers, because she wanted the children to get the best education that they can get. She did
Hmm.
not want no child left behind, no matter what she had to do to bring them up where they needed to be. That's what she was gonna do, even if it took her time outside of time. So, yes, I think because she started assigning different, moving around, assigning people different other titles and giving them a certain amount of time to pass that practice test. Yes, I think it was some of the things that she had put in place.
All right. Well, glad to hear that. Because what we're going to need is, as you might uh, agree, we're going to need a school board and superintendent working together. If we're serious about, trying to, uh, help our students, in all areas, whether it's having them to become proficient, safety is another issue, we yet dealing with fights at the school or what have you, and all other inappropriate behavior that is going on. And so, to try to straighten out some of these things, we're going to need a school board and a um, superintendent working together, which, in the last couple of years, that is, we have had somewhat of a divided school board. And so, uh, what do you bring to the table in terms of uh, trying to get the school board, um, to represent in terms of unity, and putting away, any type of personal ill will, if you will, that one board member may have for the other. Because right now we have a split board. We have a 5-3 board, I believe, and we can't get things done. And the things that we do get done, it don't seem like it's for the benefit of the community at large. So, what do you bring to the table to try to help this school board come together and working together in unity for for the sake of our children?
First of all, I bring myself and the education that I have and the experience that I have, because I'm not just jumping off in this and not knowing. I have worked for the Blytheville school system for
Mm-hmm.
many years, for over 10, I know. I have also been a substitute teacher for I know 3 or 4 years. I also was one of the ones that went off into it when I started my degree in college education before I transferred over to social work.
Mm-hmm.
So, for us looking on the outside, looking in and seeing the clear vision or seeing observing things that need to be done or you could bring to the table for you to come up with a plan to make it
Mm-hmm.
better for our students, yes. Because, first of all, it's all about our students. But you have to first be able to communicate with that parent. We don't know what homes or what's going on in the homes these babies coming out of. I have seen it all and
Well,
why it's affecting their education. So you can't judge every child by another child. You have to have time with that child.
mhm.
And how they go, you're gonna have to meet with that parent. You're gonna have to have meetings, see what their concerns are. Not you just think about yourself or you got to put yourself in that person's shoes to see what's going on to help
Mhm.
that child. It's all
Mm.
about that child and that child meeting that child need to get that child to do uh, his education. And when you get to that core, then you can come to some conclusion. But right about now, it's not about you, but it's about that child and that family.
I will agree
That's
that the Learns Act, there are some good. I mean, there is some good things about the Learns Act. in terms of accountability. Um, you know, having our teachers to become certified. Having something in place for that. The increase in pay, I think minimum pay is $50,000, I believe, and I think it's a for those seasoned teachers have been there for a while. I think it's a $2,000, I
Wow.
believe,
Mm-hmm.
increase in their pay, and so there is some good things. But then again, I think one of the cons, if you will, that I've heard is that some people don't like that public dollars are being somewhat allocated to private schools, who they believe that uh, private schools mostly are not playing by the same rules as public schools, uh, and that's another uh, complaint that I'm hearing. And so, like I say, the Learns Act is good and bad. I asked you earlier about the teachers. I think it's the Fair Teachers Dismissal Act.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that was another thing from the teacher's perspective that they didn't like. I mean, because it took away whatever safety rails or safeguards that they had in place.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's almost like it was it's easier now, Arkansas that is. I don't know what other schools districts are doing in other states, but in terms of Arkansas, it appears that you know uh, you can cut through all the red tape now when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to uh, trying to dismiss a particular teachers, and so those guardrails, somewhat either have been weakened or they've been torn down, and so you as a school board rep, uh, how can the board, uh, you know, give a sense of security to teachers that the board is going to be fair?
One thing the board needs to start handling is accountability. You know, everyone should be accountable for their action, but also you need to sit and go and figure out what that
I mean,
person.
in terms of safeguards for the teachers, I'm from the teachers'
Okay,
perspective. From their perspective, what can the board do to assure them that you know for any thing that go wrong, there are disputes, with employees and employers, uh, and the board somewhat serve as, I guess you might say, uh, the
mediator.
judge and jury when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the superintendent, which who's run the school district. But in light of this Fair Teachers Dismissal Act, the board is the only uh, uh, avenue, if you will, that they have that they believe they can go to and be treated fairly. And so, uh, what uh, position, not just you as a board member, but can the board assure our teachers that regardless of what laws have been repealed in terms of the Fair Teachers uh, Act, how can our board assure teachers that it's going to be safe? I mean, they're going to be fair in terms of, uh, treating them right.
It's gonna go back on a case to case basis. You know, each case is different, so you're gonna have to take your time and investigate and look and see what's going on.
Mhm.
One of the things the board gonna need to do is in policy is start visiting the schools to see what's going on in the schools, and they're
Yeah.
not doing. You know, well, I ain't gonna say everybody not doing it, but you need to be aware of what's going on.
So, what would you recommend if board members had to become more visible in the school district, uh, that they are serving? Uh, so, how much will the board or should the board, involve themselves when it comes to visiting the school? I mean, do they just make popcorn calls, as I call it, just show up anytime or whatever? Or do they give notice? I mean, how would that be done? Or would it be a combination of them both?
A combination of both,
Okay.
because think about it. If I give you notice that I'm coming, you whatever you doing is out of order. You gonna get in order. So
Mhm.
sometimes you don't need to know I'm coming. I just need to pop up to see if things done like they supposed to be done. Or do you have any issues that you dealing with that you feel like that you just can't go no further with instead of following protocol?
Okay.
So you're not only there for the student, but you're gonna be there for the staff also.
Okay. I'm going over here to my. Uh, I gotta learn to put this. comment section up here. I keep forgetting to turn my comment section on when I get ready to start my show. Uh, I'm looking right now on my phone to see if there's any comments or whatever because I don't have it on my board. Uh, Now my phone is acting up, uh, and I'm trying to see if there's any comments. I like to try to give the audience an opportunity uh, to ask my guests any questions if they may have them, and so
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing now. Going through my uh, and it don't seem like I see anything here. Uh, well, I don't see any questions here, and so I didn't have it public. Well, now we got it public. Hopefully, we'll get some questions to come in. I didn't have it public on my phone as well. Um, Mrs. Rump, when is the early voting? The early voting started this week, correct?
Yes, October the 21st. It
October the
goes
twenty
to
first. I forgot to put it on my board. October the 21st, and they go through what?
November the 4th.
November the 4th, and November the 5th is the election day.
November the 5th is
Mm.
election day.
And so, you mind sharing with the audience where is the particular location that they can go to vote for you? Or is it? I know they used to have it pretty much, certain precincts throughout the city geographically. That is, So where would a voter go to cast their vote for you? Or do they all early voting? Is it all at um, the Moore Center now, or
Yes,
is it other
the
places?
early voting is at the Moore Center now.
It's just at one place. That's the only
That
polling
one
place.
place.
Okay, now what about for on the day of the 5th?
November the 5th, it will be at Harrison
Okay.
on on the corner of McCaney and Am.
And so there will be other locations. But right
Yeah,
now, as it relates to just early voting, everyone cast their vote down at the Moore Center.
at the Moore Center.
Okay. Well, all right. You can. Is there anything? I don't want you to go anywhere because I want to uh, bring Mr. Cloven on. He's in my backstage right now, and he's running for United States Congress. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you uh, uh, are aware of him running for that seat, what have you. Uh, and so I'm going to bring him on. I think he heard a little bit about, you know, uh, things you were saying as it relates to the Learns Act and him, uh, if he should become successful in winning his seat, and I'm pretty sure he'll be in position to sort of work with our school district as well in terms of getting them the necessary funding or other resources that might be out there that that we can look to our county and state officials to try to help our school district. And so, hang around, and if you got any questions that you might want to come back and share more in regards to the Learns Act, uh, please do. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So just hang around. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and bring on my other guest, Mr. Gloven, who's running for United States Congress. So you take care of Ms. Rump.
You too.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was my guest, Mrs. Sheila Rump, who's running for school board, Blytheville, Arkansas. That's Zone 1. Early voting is going on right now. It'll be going on through the 4th. November the 5th will be the election day. Uh, okay. And so she's running for Zone 1 for the Blytheville School Board. And so if you have any questions for her, available, hopefully, she'll have an answer for you. So I'm looking at my phone as well. I didn't have my comment section on. Uh, and I'm always rushing coming on, forget to turn it on. But I'm looking at my phone just in case we do get some comments to come through. But want to go ahead without any further ado. I want to go ahead and bring on my other guest. Uh, his name is Mr. Rodney Govens. He's running for the United States Congress. His opposition is Rick Crawford, who um, has been there for quite some time now, and so look like we got some. Uh, but anyway, he's uh, look like we get, but he's been there for a while, and so without any further ado, I want to bring on my other guest, special guest that is Mr. Rick Crawford. Let me get Mrs. I still had Mrs. Uh, there we go. So I want to bring on my other guest, Mr. Rodney Govens. He's running for the United States Congress. And so without me going any further, I just give him an opportunity to go ahead and let him uh, go ahead and speak to you as to why he believes that he is the man to go ahead and serve as your next United States Congressman. How you doing, Mr. Govern? You doing all right? Oh, I'm doing fine. Let me transport you over here. Uh, and so we did touch base a little bit. I think you and I, on speaking of, I think it was just yesterday or last night or whatever, I think we pretty much had our own interview. Seemed like there was no need to speak
Right,
today, but I remember that was you and I having a conversation, and the thing is, the voters need to hear from you. So go ahead and give us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You know who you are. You know your location. You know, and why you're
right.
seeking this seat. Why do you believe that you are the better candidate to serve as the next United States Congressman for Arkansas?
So we keep forgetting, and this is as a community, as society, we keep forgetting that representatives are supposed to represent us, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to take your voice back and take your concerns back to Washington D.C., and they're supposed to make sure that we're making it a better place for every single one of their constituents.
Uh-huh.
Now, even with compromise, you can't please everybody, and I get that. But
Mm-hmm.
boy, we don't. I don't feel represented anymore, Tony. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel represented when I'm watching my representative never come home in 12 years having a town hall. I'm
Okay.
not represented when my representative has cobwebs on the door right there in Cabot at his office because nobody's ever there.
Okay.
I don't feel represented when, as a veteran, I go to the VA and things aren't getting better, they're getting worse. And
Mm-hmm.
nobody's listening to the veterans talk about how we need to fix it. So when you don't feel represented, you got a couple of different options. We can sit back and complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
We can complain all day. I've been doing that for years.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can get engaged and find us a candidate that actually does want to help and does want to work. And that's what we're bringing to the table. And that's why I got in this race. I'm currently a court appointed special advocate, so I get the privilege of representing foster kids' best interest in court. It's the
Mm-hmm.
best job I never got paid for. Volunteer advocacy is it's the bee's knees, man. Anybody who needs more information, please visit the website at grandprairiecasa.org. Right there in Lono County, you can go ahead and volunteer anytime. Every county has its own CASA organization across the state. We need more CASA volunteers. It's the best job I never got paid for. But when it comes to advocacy for foster kids, we have to make sure that the legislation lines up too. We have to make sure that we're actually taking care of our kids. Just like the Bible says, take care of the orphans and the widows. Well, we haven't been doing a good job of that. Just like the Bible says, we need to go ahead and love thy neighbor as we love ourselves. We ain't really been doing a good job of that either. And then we look around and you see your neighbors struggling paycheck, living paycheck to paycheck. You see your law enforcement officers having to get 2 and 3 jobs. You see all sorts of craziness. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Ecclesiastes chapter 3 said it best. There is a season for everything, and that includes a season for change. And I believe that season for change starts with us today.
Well, all right. Really appreciate that intro. And I want to say that I commend you for the free services that you give, advocating for those that are in need. I think you and I share uh, something in common. I used to have a advocacy program to where I represented special education students, and so I know that that can be overwhelming at times. And like I say, it's not like it's we do it for the pay, but we more so do it for the love of
Well, we
just trying to
definitely don't
serve
do it
our
for the pay.
community.
We definitely don't do it for the pay.
All right. And so basically, you mentioned some things that Mr. Crawford appears not to look like you went out on me. Don't have your camera. Uh, Mr. Okay, there you go. Uh, Mr. Crawford somewhat is, as I always like to use the word, MIA. I'm just feeding off what you just had stated, that he's not around at times. He's not accessible. Um,
Yeah.
and so, is there anything that you can think of right now? I know you had shared something to me. Let's talk about that, if I may.
Yeah.
Uh, put it on the screen here. Uh, let's talk about this for a minute. Uh, this is a this is a lawsuit that you shared with me. Um, this is a lawsuit. Rodney L. Davis Thomas, um, and
Rodney
Davis.
Davis, Thomas Davis, Edwin Perlmutter, and Eric A. Crawford,
Okay,
aka
and
Rick Crawford.
okay, and and these are the plaintiff, and they're suing the United States government, correct?
They're suing the United States taxpayer. Let's just take the government off of it.
Oh, taxpayer.
Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, this lawsuit, I did read over it. Just briefly. I didn't go through the whole 19 pages, uh, and I think this is important that you shared with me. Uh, there was a particular page uh, that you called
Page
my attention.
12.
Okay, that you
Page
called my
12.
attention
You want to
to.
look at bullet point 28 and 29. Yes, sir.
Okay, we want to show that because I think that when um, we have servants, if you will, uh, supposedly servants that's representing the people. Uh, I think it raised the eyebrow when the very people that you're representing, you turn around and now you wants to sue them. And so I'm just trying to understand as to what would bring a person to do such thing. You say page 12, correct?
Yes, sir. Page 12 of the lawsuit, bullet point 28 and 29. And
Okay.
you're looking for justification, and so am I, Tony.
Okay.
Because
Well,
at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense because he's trying to misquote the 27th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Now, see, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I don't, I have no legal education, but I know how to read and I know how to interpret. Now, the
okay.
27th Amendment goes really, really clear, Tony. It says when you get paid. It's similar to you walking into your employer's office after accepting a job and them telling you you're going to get paid every other week.
Hmm.
You can elect to get paid every month.
And this is
Well,
what they're
you already,
bringing and this is what they're bringing the lawsuit up under
right,
Amendment 27.
right. The foundation is the 27th Amendment. That's the
Okay.
foundation of the lawsuit.
And bullet point
Now,
28, you say, is where I need to go?
yes, sir. Starts
Where?
with bullet point 28. That's 28 and 29 are Rick Crawford specific bullet points.
Okay, Rick Crawford, I'm reading it now. Rick Crawford congressional salary has been unconstitutionally underpaid each year of his service. And because Representative Crawford is a current member of Congress, the underpayment of his back pay continues to occur. And because Representative Crawford qualifies for a federal retirement, the suppression of his congressional salary has unconstitutionally reduced the retirement pay which he will be due upon his departure from Congress. Additionally, plaintiff Crawford participated in the TPS, but due to the unconstitutionally suppressed level of his salary, the employer contributes to his t- TSP or unconstitutionally reduced it. Okay. Um, and so summed all that up. What is Mr. Crawford actually is stating? Those three bullet points that I just read. I mean, exactly the whole nut in the shell. Is he
Yeah,
saying that he's underpaid, or he is old back pay,
yeah.
or what?
He's saying three different things, right? So let's break this down. The first thing that he's saying is I need back pay into my retirement account because I'm supposed to be contributing X amount of dollars and my employer is supposed to be contributing X amount of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's based on a salary that I should be getting paid. That's issue number one. Issue number two says because I'm not paid what I think I need to get paid, I need a gross revenue back pay check for the last 12 years of service. And then the third point in the lawsuit is I need to get paid more than $200,000 a year, which would be over a $26,000 a year raise from my current base salary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you notice, I never mentioned anything about per diem, travel reimbursements, or anything like that because that's not in the lawsuit. That's not part of it. So what he's trying to do is increase his base salary, get a gross revenue check into his checking account, and get back pay into his TSP retirement account. That's the lawsuit in a nutshell. Now, here's where the audacity comes in, Tony. Every session, every time Congress gets together, for the first time after everybody gets sworn in, they go ahead and they vote on whether or not they're going to give themselves pay raises.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the last 6 sessions or so, which would be about 12 years, they have elected not to give themselves raises. They voted that way.
Okay.
So now instead of going back to your peers like Nancy Pelosi and Mike Johnson, going and talking to Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell, you want to go ahead and sue the American people. I didn't vote that way. Rick, you and your boys voted that way. So why are you now holding my tax dollars accountable to give yourself a raise? That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the audacity comes in. So if you go and you look at some of the bullet points for some of the former representatives, like Mr. Perlmutter, the two Mr. Davises, you start
Mm-hmm.
seeing some of the numbers behind that. If this lawsuit goes through and they actually win this lawsuit, which is currently under deliberations in federal claims court right now, if they win this lawsuit, that makes it retroactive for every congressional representative and former congressional rep to get back pay. That's billions of dollars. Now, this is the same guy, Tony. Rick Crawford is the same guy who voted against the George Floyd Justice Act. He voted against the VA Reform Act. He voted against the Toxic Burn Pit Act. He voted against the infrastructure bill. And all these things that he votes against, he tries to say we can't afford it. Tony, I'm not the brightest peach in the bowl now. I'm not the smartest dude in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can't afford to do any of those things that are actually going to help people, how can we afford to go ahead and help your back pay and pay raise? That don't make any sense to me.
Well, I definitely like to know more. Well, not know more, but I definitely will be keeping an eye on this case uh, as it relates to this lawsuit. Um, I don't know. I mean, do you think is? I mean, I knew everyone is entitled to be paid, fairly, but it sounds like what I'm hearing is that these plaintiffs that is bringing this lawsuit, it's almost as if uh, they feel uh, I don't know privilege.
Privileged, entitled, but at the end of the day, you can use whatever words you want to use to describe them. At the end of the day, here's what they really feel. They really feel they're better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
See, he feels like he deserves more money because of who he is, not because of the job. See, he hasn't done his job in 12 years. He hadn't had a town hall. He
Mm-hmm.
turns off public comments on any social media posts that he makes, and he's deleted and brought back his Facebook page anytime there's been any kind of dissension. Anytime
Mm-hmm.
somebody's disagreed with that man on a topic, he deletes his entire Facebook page. See,
Well,
this is the same guy who says he represents us. Now, if you ain't going to go ahead and do the bare minimum, which is bring your butt home and have a town hall and talk to people. If you're not going to do the bare minimum, just pick up the phone when somebody calls because they got an issue that you need to help them with. That's the bare minimum. That's the job. How in the world do you think you deserve a raise and you ain't even doing the job that you're getting paid for right now?
mm-hmm. well, I think that's enough for right now for Mr. Crawford. There, it seemed like he got his plate full in terms of the do's and don'ts in terms of his representation of Arkansas. You also spoke something about as it relates to. I know you mentioned veterans, but you
Yes.
also talked something about how uh, the farmers, small farmers, that is, how they are always coming up short in terms of somewhat being pushed aside. I don't know if it's accessibility to financing or what have you, but it seems like the small farmers are the one that somewhat is getting the short end of the stick. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because food is high.
So it's two separate issues, right? So number one, let's talk about the independent farmer. So if you're an independent farmer in Arkansas, you're getting the short end of the stick pretty much no matter what crop you're actually trying to harvest and raise. And I'll give you an independent rice farmer, for example. So an independent rice farmer goes out there, he's harvesting his rice, and he has goalposts for his federal subsidies. We'll call them goalposts, right? So you got to meet X amount of criteria, and it's based on some metrics around how much land you have, how much are you using to farm, how much product do you expect to harvest. Like there's a lot of numbers that go into that, and that's a pretty simple. It's a pretty simple algebraic expression at the end of the day. I
Mm-hmm.
got this much land. I'm going to expect to get this much rice, and then your subsidies are supposed to be built around that so that you can continue to farm and afford to farm. Well, the problem is about 14 years ago, I think it was one of Rick Crawford's first bills that he actually sponsored. He went ahead and took away the federal direct subsidy dollars and inserted a middleman here in Arkansas. That middleman is effectively Riceland. Riceland effectively controls the federal subsidy dollars that goes to our rice farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And they continuously move the goalposts, right? I think the actual organization's name is Bridge Force, but I'll call them Riceland just for simplistic sake. If you continue to move the goalpost on me, how can I ever meet the standard? The standard continues to change. So what ends up happening is the independent rice farmer continues to struggle to the point of bankruptcy. And right before they go to declare bankruptcy, because this happened to a gentleman in Earl, Arkansas, he caught me and talked to me at the Dollar General over there.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him had this conversation, and he said that he's had a farm in his family for generations. He's a rice farmer, and now he's got to sell his farm because they came to him with his farm bureau agent. They came to him as a corporation, and they said we can either buy your farm today for a good price, or we can go ahead and wait and pay pennies on the dollar for it when you declare bankruptcy next year or the year after.
Do you think that there's a lot of dark money involved in this? Uh,
A lot of what money?
what we call dark money.
Oh yeah.
We hear that term. We hear that term in politics. That is, as a matter of fact, I just put it up there. You know, dark money. When we hear dark money, it's actually basically referring to funds. This thing goes on in the political world to where they getting certain dollars, but they don't want to reveal their sources or what have you, and just like what's going on with what's the guy that's supporting Donald Trump, Elon Musk. I think
Yes.
the last thing I heard, he was given $1 million for, I guess, in reference to signing some petition to whatever. And so, dark money also influence policy, correct?
Yes. So
And
here's
so,
the here's the thing. Here's the thing with dark money, and this is what people got to understand.
I call it black money, but
Dark
it should have been dark money.
dark yeah, it's dark money in politics works like this. Let's say that you're a billionaire, and let's say that you're a billionaire steel owner.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going to say no names, but I'm sure he's listening to the podcast tonight because he's very interested in our race.
Mm-hmm.
But Rick Crawford sits on a steel board. But let's say you're a billionaire steel owner and you want to go ahead and get this politician, let's say $4 million. You cannot write a check to me or my opponent for $4 million. But what you can do is you can go reach out to a super PAC. That's a super political action committee. You
Mm-hmm.
can cut them a check for $4 million, and you can say, I want this $4 million to go to him. So he goes to a super PAC, and let's say the super PAC is called the National Right to Life.
Mm-hmm.
That don't even got nothing to do with steel, but they got it, and they give $4 million, and they're a super PAC, and they can do that legally. Nobody knows that it came from this steel guy. Nobody knows that it came from him.
There's no transparency. In other words,
No,
yeah.
because the National Right to Life super PAC doesn't have to disclose where their $4 million came from.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that has to get disclosed is that they gave $4 million to this politician.
Wow. And so I seen it appears that if they can't get you to play ball with them, they buy you out or they force you out.
They try to.
Okay.
They try to. Money is a very, very powerful agent in control.
Mm-hmm.
It is. But there's something, and this is what I really want people to understand. There's something that we can do that don't require no money.
Mm-hmm.
It just requires some time. And that's to go vote. And that's to go make your voice heard.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're banking on this is what these billionaires and these super PACs bank on. They bank on the fact that don't nobody want to go vote.
Okay.
So then the people that do go vote, those are the ones that I need to influence, and I can always get enough money to do that. But if you go ahead and have 100% voter turnout in the state of Arkansas, all that dark money is going to start going away. And the reason it's going to start going away is because there's no way that I'm going to influence 100% of the voting base.
Okay. Now, let's stay on that topic as it relates to money. Um, we talked a lot bit about terrorists. I think Donald Trump is uh, pretty much been in the news as of late, speaking a lot on the terrorists or what have you, in terms of starting this trade war with Mexico, Canada, and some of I
Right.
think it's one other Canada that was
China,
yeah.
Taiwan. Yep.
And
Yep.
so that is nothing as we know now and hearing from all the the expert that is those economists saying that this is not a good thing, starting this trade war, because it's going to hurt Arkansas. Arkansas actually is, when it comes to, is it rice or is it soybeans, that we somewhat number one when it comes to exporting to those particular
Rice.
countries. And so this actually
Hmm.
not only going to help, I mean, hurt business, these terrorists, uh, uh, tax, if you will, that we putting on other countries, but it's also going to hurt our economy, in terms of what goes on here in America. Talk to
Well,
us a little bit about that.
you think about it, even, and I'm going to go to a small business owner for a second. Small business owners are the backbone of this country, and they always have been. The problem is when you start talking about the economy, we got to understand how the money moves. So when a small business owner decides to go with a point of sale unit and their processing fees have to go every time you swipe a credit card, they're getting charged. They have to pay those processing fees. Usually it's about 3 to 4%. Well, as a small business owner, I can't afford to pay 4 cents on the dollar, keep my business going, pay my employees, and be able to pay for karate lessons for my kid right here in the community. So I have to pass that cost on to the consumer. You see that more in the restaurant and in the restaurant industry, in the retail space. You see that more often there. But now that's all the point of sale is basically a tax. It's a tariff. So now let's equate that to the farmers. The farmers are going out here and they're harvesting their crops. And then they want to export their crops because you got to make money. So let's say that I produce 200 pounds of rice. I got to order from China for 100 pounds of it. But China is going to charge me a tariff of 20%.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford 20%. I can't afford to pay 20% on top of that. So what am I going to do? I have to increase the price of my rice so that I can afford that 20%. Now that I've increased the price of my rice, and that's every American rice farmer here in Arkansas, now that we've increased the prices, guess what's going to happen to the price of rice when you get to the grocery store?
Oh
It
yes,
didn't went up
exactly.
because the consumer is always the ones that lose when it comes to tariffs and taxes. So we cannot afford to go into some trade war because we already see corporate greed at work right now. Like what we're enjoying right now is not inflation; it is corporate greed. When
Yeah.
Kroger is paying the same amount of money this year that they did last year for a bushel of tomatoes, but yet they charging 250% more for a tomato in the store than they did last year. That's not because of tariffs. That's not because of taxes. That's because of corporate greed. But do you think if we introduce tariffs, they're not going to jack the prices up even more? They got to make money. This is capitalism, and this is the way it works. And I'm all for capitalism, but we've got to have some common sense behind it. So why in the world would I introduce a problem that's going to cause the consumer base even more of a headache when I can go ahead and avoid any kind of trade war?
Okay, so what is uh, you said a lot in regards to some of the issues that you've been hitting on veterans, farmers. We talked about the terrorists here, and there's so many other issues that is. Um, and so, what is and you talked about accessibility in terms of Mr. Crawford is not making himself available for his constituents, and so what would be the one area shall you be elected uh, to serve as our next congressman? Uh, they always like to use the first 100 days. What what are some issues that you can assure voters that you will, I mean, day one, that you will take out running for the next 100 days in terms of trying to address and resolve some of those issues? If it's,
Oh,
give us one, give us two, give us three. So, what are some of the things that in the first 100 days that you hope to come back to your constituents and you can pretty much present them something to where, they somewhat satisfied, if you will?
we're going to propose legislation to fix the Veterans Administration, healthcare, and administration systems. And the way that we're going to do that, Tony, is on day. So, right now, a little bit of background. If you're a veteran, you get out of the military, you got an honorable discharge, they hand you DD 214. You go into the VA to claim, any service connected disability. And I'll use a knee as an example because I'm ex Army. And most guys that run that much, we have knee problems. So, you go in there and you say, hey, man, my knee issues are service connected. On average, that veteran right now today has to wait 134 days to hear back from the VA on whether or not it's going to be a service connected disability or not. And if they say no, if the VA says no, which they're notoriously known to do, then you have to wait 12 to 18 months to file after you file an appeal to hear how your appeal went. That's over a year and a half, almost 2 years that you go without health care in some cases,
Okay.
because not everybody gets out and they go straight to work. Sometimes they have to wait on the VA to diagnose their service connected disability before they can go get employment. So we need to propose this idea to change this. On day zero, when you hand in a DD 214, you automatically receive from the VA either CHAMP VA health insurance or Medicare Plan B. What that will allow you to do is at least go get medical coverage, and not just affordable rates, but because you're a veteran, the VA is going to front that so that you don't have any copay and no out of pocket costs. Now I've got a motivating factor for the VA to hurry the heck up because that's coming out of their pocket, that's coming out of their budget. So now the VA is more apt to, instead of making you wait 134 days, you might only have to wait 2 weeks to hear back. That's the best way to give our veterans the accolades and thank yous that they deserve. Is making sure that they have that health care coverage. We're going to propose that in the first 100 days, hell, the first 5 days when I get into office. We've already got it drafted up. The
All right.
second thing that I'm going to do is foster care. We need to fix foster care in this country,
Let me interrupt you
specifically
a
here in
minute. Can you
Arkansas.
bring yourself
Yeah.
back in focus of the camera? Look like we're picking up half of your face there.
Oh,
There you go.
yes.
Okay, we can see you real good now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm out. I'm
So
out here. I'm out here in Pocahontas, man. I had an
yeah.
event out here in Pocahontas, so
Okay.
sorry about that.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but you can
Yo, you're
proceed.
good. So foster care is so foundational, not just in this country, but also in this state. And let me throw some numbers at people because I need people to understand how dire this situation is. In the state of Arkansas right now, you have over 4,000 kids in foster care.
Hmm.
You only have 1,700 approved foster homes. To,
Okay.
to, to quote one of the kids that I represent in court right now, the math don't math. The
Hmm.
numbers aren't adding up. We don't have enough homes to take care of our foster kids. Now, what happens? Every year, 300 to 350 children age out of foster care. They either elect to get out of foster care or they become too old to stay in foster care.
Hmm.
90% of those kids don't even know their own social security number. Now, you don't know your own social security number. You're supposed to go out there and become a productive member of society, and you can't even fill out a job application. We need to fix that through an independent living program. That's what we're going to be proposing in our first 100 days as well. It's an independent living program so that those 300 to 350 kids don't go to the system and become incarcerated inmates, like 86% of our incarcerated population right now has come out of either a protective services case or foster care case. We need to turn them into productive members of society. Now, what is that going to do beneficially? Increase your tax revenue because now you have productive members of society. It's going to keep kids off of the streets. It's going to hinder the sex trafficking industry that we see that is thriving right now, especially along the I-40 corridors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to go ahead and put our kids in position to be successful in any endeavor that they want to go into. It is time that we take care of our kids. Those are the big two things that I want to make sure we bring to light and we fix. Now, other things that we want to bring to light in the first 100 days, Tony, is medical issues right here at home in Arkansas. Right now, we are number one in the country in mortality rates for childbirth and maternal mortality rates for those women giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
We have 27 counties in the 31 counties that I'm looking to represent that don't even have a single OBGYN, not a single lady doctor. 27 of the 31.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not a genius, but I can look at patterns and I can figure stuff out. Maybe we keep losing kids at childbirth and losing mothers giving birth because we don't have any OBGYNs, man. Maybe we need to go ahead and focus right there and make sure that we're allowing people to be successful when it comes to their medical care.
Mm-hmm.
And as a woman, just as a man, you should be able to choose where you go and what medical procedures you have done. See, I shouldn't be dictated to no government on how I need to go ahead and get my back looked at. Maybe I don't want to have back fusion surgery. Maybe I want to get a second opinion. A woman should have the same rights. And Project 2025 takes that away from women. I want to reverse it. I want to go 180 degrees, and I want women to have the bodily autonomy that I have as a man. That's what we're going to be fighting for when we get to Congress.
Well, all right. Now, if I could call your attention to if you are successful with becoming our next United States uh, congressman representing Arkansas. Uh, Here in Arkansas, in my neck of the woods, Mississippi County, that is, uh, for years, we continue to struggle with infrastructure. We have a real failing infrastructure problem here in Blytheville, Arkansas, and I will say throw Oak Seal, Arkansas in there as well.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we're being told a lot of things. I won't really engage in them, but we've been told so many different things as to the reason as to why, we haven't improved our infrastructure, uh, in the last 20 years. And so, uh, if you are fortunate enough to serve as our next um, congressman, uh, how can you assure that those dollars are appropriated fairly in regards to Mississippi County getting its share? In this particular case, I'm referring to Blytheville. How can you assure that Blytheville get its fair share of infrastructure dollars to improve our infrastructure that has been failing for the last 20 years?
So three different points when it comes to infrastructure. Number one, I can promise you this. I'm going to fight my butt off to do exactly what I was doing before I entered this race when I was in telecom a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to do is I want to make sure that our rural communities have the resources to be successful so that no kid feels like they can't get the same internet coverage that a kid in Little Rock gets. Just because a kid is born in Blytheville or Osceola doesn't mean that they should automatically be behind the eight ball. We need to make sure that that kid has the same resources, and internet's a big part of it. So what I did in telecom, I worked at a place called Swift Fiber. And I appreciate all the time that I had there. I had a great crew. Shouts out to Bruce Ross. He's originally from Elaine, grew up in Helena, West Helena, and in that area. And he was a great maintenance tech and a great engineer for me. And he and I discussed this too. We didn't focus on the BBs and the Circes when we went and got grant money to go bring rural Arkansas some internet.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Eudora, Arkansas. We went to Humnoke, Arkansas. We went to Hamburg, Crossett, Parkdale, Portland, Star City. We went to the outskirts of Lincoln County. We went to Grady and Gould. We went
Right.
to England, Arkansas, Carlisle, Lono. We went to these towns of less than 3,000 people. And we brought faster, cheaper, more reliable internet to those cities and those counties than you could find in Little Rock and Fayetteville right now today. And that goes into the investment that we need to make into rural Arkansas. See, a lot of times, and I'll use Elaine as an example, Tony, what we need to focus on is fixing the infrastructure in place and replacing where it needs to be replaced, but that costs money. Now, there's grant opportunities. Any politician will sit there and try to hide behind that, and they'll say, well, there's grant opportunities. Well, here's the problem. There's a couple of grants for water towers specifically in water infrastructure that requires a city to
Mm-hmm.
bring 20% capital to the table. Now, if you sitting there in little old Elaine, Arkansas, and you need to replace a water tower that costs maybe $6 million, I'm just throwing that number out there. That's not the real number, but I'm just throwing it out there.
I got you.
If I got to replace a tower for $6 million, the government is willing to let me get a grant, and they'll pump in 4.8 million. There's still $1.2 million left that I got to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Little old Elaine don't have $1.2 million. They don't have it.
Right.
So because they don't have it, we're not giving them the $4.8 million. That doesn't make any sense to me. So what I want to propose and what I'm going to fight for is that these grants, especially around infrastructure specifically, are no longer 2080. They're no longer 70/30. They're 0/100.
All right then.
You as a city, you as a municipality, you come and apply for the grant. And when we got the money, you go ahead and qualify for it. We'll get it to you. That helps our rural communities out. That helps rebuild downtown. That helps drag in businesses that want to be there because now we've got the internet and now we've got our water situation fixed. Well, now we just need a leader, a mayor, or a county judge going out there recruiting the Amazons and Microsofts and those big businesses to come down here. Because here's the advantage that people forget too. The rural community has something that all these big metro areas and these big cities don't have. They've got two things really. Number one, they got land opportunities. You can't get 600 acres in Little Rock no more. There ain't no land. And number two, they've got a population that's ready to go to work. And imagine what good can come if we got an Amazon fulfillment center sitting there in Osceola, Arkansas, that has 10 gigabits per second on the internet side,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got over 800 acres of land to build a fulfillment center to create 3,500 jobs. Little old Osceola not going to be little old Osceola no more.
So there is opportunity.
Absolutely.
Mm.
That's the
So
thing. The devil's in the details. We
yeah,
just gotta we just gotta get some
yeah,
representation that wants to focus there.
yeah. So I guess is what they call it financial accessibility, if you will, and having folks such as yourself that is going to go there and going to really advocate and fight to to make this thing happen. Now Mississippi County does have a lot of opportunities, but for some reason or another, you take like Osceola and Blytheville as the two biggest cities in Mississippi County, but once we continue to deteriorate, there goes the
Yeah.
county. And
Well,
so
who wants to come? Who, as a business, Tony, and I put myself in Amazon's shoes. Why would I want to drop an Amazon fulfillment center in Osceola, Arkansas, and they don't even have great broadband internet?
mhm,
That's going to hurt my business.
right.
I'm not gonna do that because that's gonna hurt my business. And I'm not. I hope you don't think Amazon's gonna come in and pay for the broadband internet infrastructure. I'm trying to keep all my money. So why would I come to Osceola?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to we need to empower our communities, man, and we can do that.
Well, we're getting ready to wrap it up. We getting down to the last of the wire. Look like I've been on for didn't know I've been on that long. But anyway, uh, I know you heard some things that Mrs. Rump was speaking. I want to bring her back in. Uh, she was speaking
Yeah,
on
we can
some
talk about
things.
that learn. We can talk about that learns that because I got some stuff on that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I like to bring her in because she's running for school board uh, for Blytheville, Arkansas, and I just like to bring her in uh, to to have her to listen to you, and hopefully you can share some things with her in regards to, you know, what could be done, at the federal level, if not the state
Mhm.
level, that will, give her the tools that she need, uh, to be somewhat of a help, to the Blytheville School Board. So let's touch base on the Learns Act. Talk to us about some of the pros and cons of the Learns Act. I had mentioned something about the Fair Teacher Dismissal Act. I think they sort of gutted that, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
So you could dismiss a teacher for any reason. The real issue is before the Learns Act, we used to have a law on the books. It was 6-28-202 is a state statute, and it said that you could not spend public dollars on private, parochial, or homeschool.
Okay.
I agree with that. I don't think public dollars should ever be spent on private, parochial, or home schools. Now, the Learns Act came and gutted that and superseded that law that was written down. And now you can spend public dollars through the voucher system on private, parochial, or homeschool. But here's the conundrum, and people forget there's a little blurb in this law, and the blurb says that you can do this only for kids that are not in DHS care. See, all these kids in foster care, Tony and Sheila, you can't have a voucher and you don't qualify for the voucher system, which means wherever foster home you end up or whatever shelter you end up at, you got to go to the public school no matter what, even if it's a detriment to your academic standing. You have to go there. You do not qualify. So, really, what the Learns Act did, Tony, and people got to understand this, the devil's in the details. What it did was it targeted specifically a demographic of vulnerable children and said, you are going to stay vulnerable. You are not going to make it out. And we will make sure the infrastructure in place does not allow you to become successful. That's what the Learns Act effectively does for our foster kids. Now, here's the good part, though. Here's the good part.
Well.
With the Learns Act, as a federal congressman, right, I cannot tell the governor she's got to get rid of the Learns Act. I can't do that. There's a separation of state and federal government and states' rights. They do have some precedent sometimes. But here's what I can do. I can call the Department of Justice and the Department of Education because here's what I don't understand, Miss Sheila. How much of that voucher money, that's $6,600 per kid, how much of that money comes from IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, SPED, Special Education, or Title 6B, which is a federally funded special education fund?
Mhm.
See, this is what people don't understand. The federal government pumps in education dollars too.
Mhm.
All I want to know is where's the money going, because that's one of the biggest questions I get from the National Education Association and the Arkansas Education Association,
And that
which
is what
both
has been a
organizations
problem,
gave me my
Yeah.
endorsement.
And that's what has been a problem, the appropriation. As it's just like I said, it just seemed like
But Tony,
Mississippi County, we always
this is the good news when we win this race in November. And with your help and with Mississippi County, especially after over 700 ballots were cast yesterday alone, we can win Mississippi County. We need to turn that vote out. Here's the good news when I become congressman. One phone call from a congressional representative, a sitting sworn in congressional rep in January,
Mhm.
goes to the Department of Justice, Department of Education, and it stops the federal funding because they have to do what's called an audit. And I don't know if you know anything about an audit, Tony, from the federal government. It's going to take a while.
Mhm.
Now,
Oh,
what in the world is Governor Sanders going to do when her phone start blowing up because the state of Arkansas is under federal audit and that voucher value went from $6,600 to now we got to take the federal money out of it, probably down to about 42. You think her rich folks going to be happy that they got to spend $1,400 a month out of their own pocket just to make up the loss of the voucher?
oh boy. Well, Mrs. Sheila Rump. Uh, we uh, have heard straight from Mr. Rodney Govern in terms of what could be done versus what cannot be done. Is there anything in particular, Mrs. Rump, shall you become the next school board rep for Zone 1. Is there any other questions that you believe uh, that you need to ask that will help you ask to Mr. Govern, that is? I mean, what is some things that, as you know, the Blytheville School District right now in terms of its needs? Is there any question that you have for the future Congressman Rodney Govens uh, that he might can help you with or assist you with?
Okay, one thing I want to talk to him about, because he was talking about foster children, which you know that I work for the state of
Oh
Arkansas
yeah.
investigator, also as a caseworker.
Hmm.
And one thing I didn't hear him mention was that I didn't like when I worked as a caseworker was when we couldn't place our children in a foster home, mostly teenagers. What they would do was send them to Little Rock and they would label them as a mental, you know, and I didn't like that. When you hear in the cries, I still can hear. What have I done for you to do this to me? I should have been quiet. I shouldn't have said nothing. But to me, you removing them out of one situation into another one. That wasn't the way to go. So it was some, and then they labeled through school. You know, she got a mental problem, which she didn't have a mental problem. That bothered me.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna let that alone. When you go dealing with foster care, you know that's my passion. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna, but
Mrs. Rump got some decades of service upon her belt when it comes to
so
uh,
Oh, look, I used to be
assisting
a
them.
foster kid, so I know Miss Sheila. I understand everything that you're saying. I've experienced that firsthand. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
so and then you bring them in and you can't place them. You have to sleep on the floor at night with them in the office and keep them. No, because to me that's a form of neglect and abuse. So I'm gonna leave that alone. We got work to do and it need to be done. But we need to put someone in place in the office that willing to roll their sleeves up. And it's not about you, but it's about those children, our future, our generation.
That's
That
right.
help make a difference. We need to make that stepping stone. But it's so many, like you said, this dark money and stuff, it needs to stop. It needs to cease. Because it got us in the position that we are in now.
Yeah.
Now, me as a school board representative, what you can help me do. I love looking for resources, things to do to help better our children. You know, it ain't no always my way the right way. It ain't no always
Right.
I'm a big I, and you got to do it my way or no way. You got to vote my way or there's no way.
Mhm.
We need to come together and be able to, as they say, brainstorm and figure out what we need to do. And how we gonna do that? We got to roll our sleeves up, put on our boots on the ground, get out here, meet with these parents and in the communities, and find out what is going on. Go to the schools and visit. You know, in other words, build a relationship. There's no relationship. There's no communication. There's no clarity. There's no transparency. None of that there. And all that needs to take place. Not just because someone proud of me, because because I'm the big whatever. It's too late for you. Deny yourself and do what's right to help our children. That's all I got to say.
Well, all right. Well, I thank you for that passionate. Uh,
Well, Tony, let me chime in real quick because she hit something. And I
okay.
want to make sure that she understands something too. When it comes to the Department of Human Services, that is a thankless job. And I think it's time that we help our Department of Human Services family service workers.
Hmm.
And here's how we can do it, right? Because this goes into some of our ideas on foster care. I talked about independent living a little bit because we got 300 to 350 kids that age out of the system. And when you change homes 60 times in 2 years, you definitely don't want to stay in that system. So let's go ahead and create an independent living program where we have teenagers that are already hard to place. If they qualify for this program, now they can't just be coming in just because they're a
Hmm.
teenager. You
Okay.
got to have some actual motivation. So let's say that we want to go ahead and take a multi-dwelling unit. I'm going to use an apartment building with 20 apartments as an example. I can go ahead and have two people live in an apartment because most people do that today when they get out of college. And when they go to college right now, you got to live with a roommate. So now let's go ahead and create the apartment building and let's go ahead and have some roommates. And let's say that you have a kid that's a little bit more mature. He's a teenager, she's a teenager, but they're a little bit more mature than their peers. they go ahead and qualify for this program academically. I need you to maintain a 2.5 GPA or higher. I need you to go out there and get a part-time job. And I need you to go out here and make sure that you ain't dabbling in no drugs. You ain't be throwing no parties, none of that stuff. You got to focus on you, right? Now, if I've got 40 kids in this one apartment building, Tony, all I need really is one caseworker because that caseworker is only going to one spot. We already know where they're placed. We already know where they go to school at, Tony, because we know the Learns Act won't let them go to no private school. So I already know they're going to the public school right around the corner. So I can go ahead and visit those kids every day. Then let's go ahead and take it a step further. I need some program assistance, man, because nobody can do it on their own. I can take 3 program assistants and effectively provide 24 by 7 monitoring on this apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And I can make sure that we got random drug tests going, that we've got random room checks and room inspections, because I ain't gonna have no teenager think they living dirty now. We all know how we were when we were teenagers. We can't be having that kind of situation, right? So we got 3 program assistants, we got one caseworker, and we got 40 kids that we've taken care of that are going to go through independent living classes while they live there so that they know their social security number, they know where to get their services at, and they know how to adequately and effectively and successfully live as an adult early on. How powerful is that going to be for that 18-year-old kid? Because we haven't even talked about board payment, Tony. What in the world would you do as a foster kid when you get out and you have absolutely no funds in your pocket? Now,
Yep.
let's look at this independent living program. What if we could go ahead and provide you with a nest egg so that when you decide you want to move away and you want to go to college, you've got some money to lay down on an apartment? And we've already taught you how to live that way. That's what we want to do. We want to empower these kids to be successful and make life a little bit easier on the Miss Sheilas of the world at DHS.
Well, all right. Well, sound like to
Woo! That
me,
I'm talking.
Mrs. Rump, sound like you got you a powerful ally in your corner. That's gonna
Yes.
someone that you will have access to, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
you know. And so, y'all, it's been great. I know we got started late a little bit, had a little technical problems there. I know there's so much to cover. In terms of school safety, we talked about, school performance. We talked about teacher pay. We talked about the pros and cons of the Learn Act. Although there's some good things about the Learns Act, but also there are some things that not so good with the Learns Act. And so hopefully, the public can continue to be educated, uh, on some of these topics that we just covered. And as you both stated, that voting is the backbone of how we get things done.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes.
it's I'm pretty sure you all can share one of the worst people that you can encounter to speak with is one that don't vote, that just complained. And so this has been great. You all, if there's a need that you all need to come back on, prior to election day, just hit me up. And I want to say to all of you all that are listening, um, uh, I sent a message out earlier to everyone stating that, you can use this platform, testify, regardless of your uh, party affiliations, background, race, or what have you. Uh, if you have something that need to be said that you believe that will have a significant impact on the community for the betterment, then you as a candidate, you more than welcome to come on to the Tony Hollis Live Talk Show, testify. Again, early voting is October the 21st through November the 4th. And I want to go ahead and start with Miss Sheila Rump. Go ahead and allow her to give us a good 2 3 minutes closing as to why she believes that she should serve as your next school board rep for Zone 1. And then we'll close it out with Mr. Um, Govern, letting him speak to you all as to why he thinks that he is worthy to be your next congressman. So first we'll go to Mrs. Sheila Rump. Mrs. Sheila Rump, the floor is yours, and share with the voters as to why you believe that you need to serve as the next um, school board member for Zone 1. Floor is yours.
I believe that I will be the best. I will give of myself. I will have an open door policy. I feel as that no leader should have their phone turned off and their door locked when a constituent is in need. I feel as though I'll be a great listener. I would take it back to the board. And I would just not stop there, because if I feel as though it's something need to be done or put in place, I do not take no for an answer. I take no, not right now. But I keep knocking until I can see a difference or something to be done. It's not about us, it's about the children, and it's about the staff that working with our children. That we look out and we go out and get the resources that they need so they can do an effective job, so it can be a better tomorrow for our children. That's what I believe. Vote for me, Sheila Rumpus, your school board representative, Zone 1, November the 21st through November the 4th, and the official date, November the 5th. See you at the poll. God bless.
Well, all right, Mrs. Rump, I thank you for that closing, and hopefully your constituents in Zone 1 heard you, and they will come out to cast their vote for you. And again, I thank you a lot for participating. So we'll go ahead and let Mr. Govern go ahead and close it out for us, and let him tell us, or tell you that is, as to why he believes that he should serve as your next United States Congressman representing Arkansas. Floor is yours, Mr. Governor.
I appreciate the time and thanks everybody for listening to me and talk up all the anytime minutes. But um, I think I think we're all tired. I think we're all tired of representatives. They get into office and they never come home. We're
Mhm.
tired of representatives that go up to Washington D.C. and forget what it's like to put their boots on the same way that we put ours on. I think we're tired of having representatives want to go forward and pad their own pockets without looking forward and helping out the people in the various communities that they're supposed to represent. We're all tired of that. I'm tired of hearing about issues that ain't got nothing to do with Arkansas. I'm tired of people ignoring the voice right here at home. I'm tired of seeing my teaching neighbors, my law enforcement neighbors struggling living paycheck to paycheck, and don't nobody want to help them sitting there in Washington, D.C. They don't even want to come and have a conversation. So I go ahead and I propose this. Let's change that. See, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 talks about it. There's a season for everything, and the season for change is right now. And we have an opportunity to go ahead and change our leadership and get elected leaders like Miss Sheila Rump, like Jesse Magruder up there in Crittenden County, Lincoln Barnett up there in Crittenden County and St. Francis County, Dexter Miller down there in Phillips and Lee County. We have an opportunity to get real representation at the state and federal level that we've never had before. People that know what it's like to be broke, people that know what it's like to struggle, people that know what it's like to have to go to school and drop everything because you need to go ahead and tend to your kid. We know what it's like, and it's time that we have representatives that know what that's like too.
Yes.
Representatives that understand what it's like to be poor. So I propose that we go ahead and use this early voting that started on Monday and runs through November 5th. I need everybody to go to the polls so that we can stand up and send a message together. And that message is we are tired of the same old status quo politicians that don't care nothing about us, that don't care about the infrastructure in Osceola, that want to see Helena, West Helena go without water. We tired of having those representatives. We need representatives that want to fix the Elaine water tower, and we need to cast our ballot. And I hope that I earn your vote. And don't worry about me coming home. I live in Cabot, Arkansas, and I'm gonna have offices throughout the district. I ain't got time to be in DC too long. I've been married for 20 years, and I ain't trying to spend any waking moment away from my twins and my wife unless it's absolutely necessary. So trust and believe we're gonna be down here. We're gonna be around. We're gonna be accessible. We're gonna have town halls every quarter. I can promise you that. But what I need you to do is I need you to help me. I need to earn your vote. And if I can earn your vote, I need you to tell 10 people to come out and vote for us too. Let's make this change together and let's change Arkansas politics to bring it back to the people, exactly what it was designed to do.
Well, all right,
Woo!
ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you all, uh, you know, tuning in with me today. I wish that we could have more of the candidates who are running for a particular office uh, to come on and to speak to the people. There are so many different ways of getting the word out, and I just think that with we're having someone in Arkansas locally that is here in Blytheville. that can reach out, not just here in within Mississippi County, but outside the county, outside, in some cases, outside the state, where they use and testify as an opportunity to get their messages out. And so, again, I thank you all for stopping by, sitting with me, sharing with us as to uh, why you're running for your particular seats. And all I like to say is God bless and may God keep you both. And hopefully, uh, you all will be success or have some success in winning your particular offices. And so, with that being said, I want to say goodbye. God bless, and may you all have a remaining blessed night.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye bye now.
Good night. Thank
All,
you. Have a
all right.
blessed one.
All
Appreciate it.
right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those were my guests. Mrs. Sheila Rump of Blytheville, Arkansas, running for School Board Zone 1, and Mr. Rodney Govens, who's running for the United States Congress. His opposition or his opponent is Mr. Rick Crawford. I don't know if you all heard it earlier. Thought I had it on my screen up here, but Mr. Crawford is uh, he's involved in a lawsuit uh, where the way Mr. Govern describes it as it's a lawsuit against the taxpayers. You know, it's it's titled him and a few other plaintiffs suing the United States government. But when you sue the United States government, actually it's a tax on the people. Uh, in other words, they're gonna pick up the tab, pick up the bill. It's no different than if your city, your municipality, is being sued. Whenever we encounter a lawsuit, let's just say it's for police brutality or something like that. Well, the police department they don't pay. We pay the taxpayers, and that's no different than uh, this particular case. What's going on with Mr. Crawford, Representative Crawford. I want to put that back up there for those of you. I was reading, but I don't know if you all uh, saw the lawsuit. But I want to put it up here for you right now, and you can go and you can pretty much look it up yourself. I can just show you how it's docketed in terms of name, how it's title. This is the lawsuit right here. Oh, let me go back. But this is the lawsuit right here. It's 19 pages, but I didn't want to read the whole 19 pages. Uh, I just want to show you how the lawsuit is docketed. Uh, there you go, right there. It's the United States. This is federal court now. United States Court of Federal Claims. Rodney L. Davis, Thomas M. Davis, suing on behalf of the plaintiff here. You got Eric Crawford. I guess that's his first name. We know him as Rick, but he's a plaintiff in that particular lawsuit, and they suing the United States government. I think page 20, what the Mr. Governor was telling me. Uh, I don't think I read it, but I don't think I showed it to you all, and so I'm gonna go down to page 28 right quick before I close, just to show you all that uh, in terms of why Mr. Crawford, Representative Crawford, why he believed that he's within his right to sue United States government, which is taxpayers, you and I. And so we're gonna do that right now. Oh boy, I think it was page 12. He said page 12. Okay, here we go. Let's try to bring that over now. Then I'll let you all go. I know I've had you over for a pretty good while here, and so let me show you this here, and we get out of here. Okay. Okay. I think it was page 12. Okay. Plaintiff Crawford, 28 right here, I guess. Plaintiff Crawford. This is the lawsuit. He's a party to as the plaintiff. Okay. So let me bring it over for you right now. Plaintiff Crawford, congressional salary has been unconstitutionally underpaid each year of his service, and because Representative Crawford is a current member of Congress, the underpayment of his back pay continues to occur. And because Representative Crawford qualifies for a federal retirement, the suppression of his congressional salary has unconstitutionally reduced the retirement pay which he will be due upon departure from Congress. Okay, so they bring in this lawsuit. I think it's coming up on Amendment 27, and so somewhere in a week I'll make this lawsuit available for you all to read uh, on my page. Uh, but he's involved in a lawsuit suing the United States government. But anyway, just wanted to show you all that. I think when I was reading earlier, many of you uh, was not able to follow along because I didn't have it up. Okay. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting ready to go in here and make me a cup of coffee, watch me some television, and call it a night. Again, get out to vote, you all. Early voting is going on. Started yesterday. It will go on through November the 4th, early voting. And of course, the day of the election is November the 5th. Okay? That's the day of the election, November the 5th. And so please, please, please do get out to vote. Okay? Please get out to vote on uh, November the 5th. Okay? Which is election day. But you can vote November the 5th by getting out uh, through these particular dates here. It started yesterday, October the 21st, and it'll go on through November the 4th, and which election day is Tuesday, November the 5th. So please, 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 please do get out to vote. Okay? So I want to say peace and love, and may God bless you all, and may God keep you all until we see each other again. Okay? I don't know if there's anything else that I need to say before I close out. I'm looking over here at my notes right now. I'm gonna go to my board to see if I got any comments uh, over over here that I need to give some attention to. That's what I'm looking at now to see if I have anything that uh, I need to I need to bring up. And if I don't have anything else that I need to bring up, then I'm gonna close it out. Okay. Okay, look like we have Miss Linda Cannon. She's just speaking, saying hello to everyone. How you doing, Mrs. Cannon? She's just speaking to everyone, of course. Um, and is there anyone else over here? We got Bonita Cannon. Stated, you got my. Let me blow that up a little bit. Don't get my glasses on. Um, she stated, you got my vote, Mrs. Sheila Rump. Okay, Miss Sheila Rump will be glad to hear that. Okay, she will be glad to hear that. All right. Is there anyone else do we have that might want to give a particular, make a particular comment or whatever? Don't see if I have anyone else over here. We got Mrs. We got Mrs. Let me blow that up a little bit where I can see it. That's Mrs. Linda Ray Cannon. She say, why there's not any yard signs of nobody, uh, and nobody is camping in Blytheville for Mr. Govern. I don't know. I wish I saw that earlier. But he's easy to reach out to. Or somebody, uh, please also take note of this question and get in contact with Mr. Govern. I'm pretty sure he'll find a way to get you a yard sign. Okay. And so that's pretty much all I have, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I thank you all for sitting with me, hearing my special guest. And so until we see each other again, I want to say God bless. May God keep you all until we see each other again. Peace and love. God bless and good night. So there we go. It finally show up. Please jump over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And while you're there, please do hit that bell where you get all of my notifications when I go live. Peace and love, and God bless.